So, yesterday Netflix treated us all to an awesome surprise by releasing the first episode of Sonic Prime Season 2, and let me just say, I was really impressed. I enjoyed the first season of Sonic Prime, but it took a few episodes for it to really click with me. This, however, is not the case at all with Season 2. They were firing on all cylinders, with much better pacing as well as animation this time around. Season 1 had left us on a cliffhanger of sorts where Shadow was confronting Sonic about the Shatter Space, and we finally get to see that play out during the opening minutes of this episode. Right away, the show gets a pretty serious vibe, at least for a Sonic show, as Shadow tells Sonic that he broke their reality and Green Hill is no more. Sonic is always lighthearted and does whatever it takes till he saves the day, so the addition of Shadow here to show the severity of the situation is a really nice contrast, as Sonic has to come face to face with the result of his actions. We find out that Shadow has been stuck inside the Shatter Space for the entirety of Season 1 and has been trying to track down Sonic. There's also a dark void inside the Shatter Space, which is where Shadow lost his Chaos Emerald, and I think that later on in the season, this is gonna play a big role. I'm not quite positive on how though, but it's possible that we could see Sonic and Shadow send the Chaos Council there in hopes of getting rid of them, kind of like how Superman sends General Zod to the Phantom Zone. This, however, could end up backfiring on them because this could also allow the Chaos Council to access the Chaos Emerald. That's just where my mind is going right now though. Despite Shadow not being able to enter the gateways like Sonic, there is one that he can enter, and it's the very same that contains the Paradox Prism. Shadow tells Sonic that if they can return all the shard pieces here, there is a chance that they can revert things back to normal. Sonic likes this idea and wants to enlist the help of his friends from the Shadowverse, but this is where we see that Shadow was planning on doing this alone. He doesn't trust the other versions of Sonic's friends, and definitely doesn't trust Sonic since he was the cause of all of this mess. Shadow believes that if he acquires Sonic's tech, he can travel through the other gateways. Now, we get a pretty fun sequence here of Shadow and Sonic fighting each other, and Shadow ends up gaining the upper hand on Sonic and leaving to go after the shards. The two fight more in the Shatter Space, and they end up witnessing the Chaos Council entering the Shatter Space as well as traversing the gateways. Shadow, however, discovers that even with the tech he acquired from Sonic, he can't enter these gateways. He ends up getting knocked out, and Sonic has to save him right before he falls into the void. Finally, Shadow realizes that he will have to work with Sonic if they want things restored. Man, this was awesome, and it was the most we've seen Shadow in anything in a long time. This might end up being my favorite portrayal of Shadow if his character remains this way throughout the series. The way that he basically lured Sonic to acquire his tech so he could go off on his own to restore the world felt like something Batman would try to do, but I'm really glad we'll get to see the dynamic of Shadow working with Sonic, because he harbors a lot of resentment towards him right now, but Sonic is their best bet to save the day. Even with Shadow working with Sonic, I do believe that later on we might see Shadow turn on Sonic again. Shadow made it pretty clear that he's willing to do whatever it takes to save their world. However, Sonic might want to find another way if restoring the Paradox Prism could hurt his new friends. So I think it's likely we might see another rematch between the two. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm really curious about that void. With Shadow being stuck in Shatter Space, I'm wondering if he's gonna try and explore it later on. Of course, now the big threat we see is the Chaos Council can now enter different Shatter Spaces, and they're likely going after more shards. This makes them an even bigger threat as they're not just confined to New York City and can follow Sonic wherever he goes. Overall, I really enjoyed this first episode of the new season, and I am so ready for the 13th to see the rest. But let me know what you all thought below. Guys, tons, and I mean tons of new Sonic news has been dropping just about every week it seems, so make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all things Sonic, and check out the video here. As always guys, I wish you all the best. Peace.